From our headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria, it's nice to have you join us. This is Enterprise Morning right here on Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike.
I'm Choma Kohe.
So we're about to head to our newspaper review segments, but just before that, if you haven't already, please join our community and have a say in what we say by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Enterprise TV 7, and do visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Our guests for this segment is Mecca Amado Nago, a public affairs analyst and journalist. And also we have in the studios with us Barrister Evans Ofeli, a public affairs commentator and a barrister. Lord, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
And welcome
to
Enterprise Morning today. Good morning, Choma.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great.
Fine. So quickly, let's take on our newspaper reviews segment. And interestingly, we have kicking off, we have from Platform Times newspaper, a very sensitive story here. 20 Ogun travelers kidnapped, one shot on Sagamu Expressway. And we have it authoritatively from the same newspaper that the victims were taken into the bush while waiting for additional information. That is, the police were saying this, and they are asking that people living around the neighborhood should contact loved ones who may be plying that particular road at about the time to be cautious about the issue. Well, it's a fast story, and more information will be trickling in as time goes on. But particularly, we want to have this discussion with respect to the general security situation we have in our country, in Nigeria. Every other day we have very gory stories of kidnap, of killings and all, and it all borders on security. And I don't know, at what point do you think we can call this a stop about talking about insecurity in our country? Because every other time we think it's going to rest, right there we have a developing story. Pastor Evans.
Yes, you're going to have more of these stories in the days to come. You're going to have more unrest, okay? You're going to have, it's not professing doom to the Nigerian state, but it's to say that anywhere in the world where your economy is torn apart and the government is confused as to what to do about it, and the government is proposing to buy private jets too, and you don't have an economy, you will continue to have kidnap, you will continue to have bombings. Yesterday we were talking about 4 different terrorist attacks that happened in Borno State, in Gwoza, in Borno State, where a woman strapped a baby at her back, 2-3 of them, and
detonated
one into a park, a motor park, the other ones in some occasion ongoing. Okay, so you have that. Then this morning we're talking about kidnapping, that as the Sagamu.
Just
that's very close to us.
Yes.
Right
Okay.
in front of a police area command headquarters.
Yes, a police area command headquarters. And when you go to report to the police will ask you to go and pay ransom. You understand? So that when their DPO was kidnapped, they paid ransom. Okay, so when you get to that stage, you begin to wonder if you have a country that have lost its bearing this bad, to the point where you can no longer manage the security. We're shouting and saying this at the beginning when this subsidy thing left and all that. Well, at the top of our voice, we're asking the government to come and tame this situation early enough. You understand? Now, the president and they have come up with another program again. Now they're talking about they're going to build coastal, they're going to build expressways. They call it construction something. They're going to add it to 100,000 families now that will get 50,000.
Yes.
I don't know whether you are aware of that.
Yeah, very true.
100,000 families that get 50,000 now. That is, I don't know. We hope the president does not even hand over the money to the governors again. The one he gave them before, they are not able to account for it. Nothing. 8 bags of rice came to my village. I've said the story on several occasions.
Sure.
And I was not in the village. I would have asked them to return it. Because, you see, we are in a situation where if we don't tame this insecurity problem right now, in the future, it will be difficult for children to go to school because the criminals will now be emboldened to the point where they will take over the police stations. Okay? Now we'll now be looking at the case of Somalia. That's where we're heading to. If you read the Somalia story, you see how that those who are agitating against the intense hardship melted on them by the inability of the country to govern, now took over the space. And what happened when angry citizens take over? In some countries you call them rebels, then in some places you call them whatever it is you call them. But once they take over, one, they are not able to provide for themselves what they are even demanding for. You understand what I mean? They will not be able to provide it for the entire citizens and for themselves. Then criminals will now step in between. Okay? And in the name of that struggle, they will start to, that's what is going on in the Southeast. In the name of that struggle, they will start to commit light crime, heavy crime, and all that. Then you're going to have proliferation of arms everywhere. So at that stage, it will be more difficult for the Nigerian government to control it when you now have so many converts. When people who were law-abiding had given up and are taken to crime or have joined the team that wants to make sure that the country is grounded completely, it will be difficult for them, because how many policemen do you have that will go around and tame the situation? Then how many? So at the end of the day, you're going to have a war situation, self-inflicted war situation, not from an external force, but from the inability of government to hold on to the economy and give the people a livelihood.
But do you think this is a question of the government of the day? Of course, this is not a peculiar issue. We've had it in similar administrations before now. So we wouldn't say that it's simply because our president and their cohorts are asking for jets. You know, that's the reason for this. But I would love to ask, do you think this is a question of not having a strong-willed leader? Because during Goodluck, during Obasanjo, just we know what he could do in similar occasions. So do you think it's a function of not having a strong-willed leader?
Yeah, that negates what you just said before now. You said that we've had this situation before now. We've never had a situation where we're under this kind of condition in this country and we're opting to buy material profligacy. We have not done it before. Okay? This is the first time the house is on fire and the government has gone to bed. This is the first time here to this level, where our economy had not dropped down to this level before. We were not using cucumber to cook stew before. I don't know why you are aware. That's where we are now. So the government have no excuse. Okay? Was this what they meant when they were in office? What was their objective? What is the essence of governance or leadership? Is to take people from point A to point B. You understand? Progressively, not retrogressively. Okay?
Very
so
true.
where we were last year, is that where we are today? So our life, we are declining the more. And we're saying these declines will get to a point everywhere we break loose. That's what we're saying. That we should not get to that point where everywhere we break loose.
Very true.
Thank you, Barrister Philly. Now let's move on. Moving into the Premium Times, and we have a particular story that is making the rounds actually, and it's on the terrorist ambush security convoy killed 5 police officers in Katsina. Now, suspected terrorists have killed 5 more police officers in an ambush in Ijebu local government area of Katsina State. Over to you, Mr. Emeka Magnago. Now, looking at the current state of the country, and this is part of the insecurity we're talking about. And what is our intelligence officers doing as security personnel? If terrorists can ambush a security convoy, kill 5 police officers in Katsina State, where are we going to?
See, the point is that the fact that terrorists or whatever name they're called ambushed a security convoy is not new. It's to be expected. Yes, our terrorists are not there, criminals are not there for charity missions.
Well, what do you mean by it should be expected?
It should be no. What I mean is this: as surely as the sun will rise from the east and set in the west, so should the security establishment expect that criminals will always be up to their dirty business. But you know what? it is now incumbent on the security establishment to make sure they don't even leave the point where they plan such and be able to get to their intended, target. That is proactive policing, proactive intelligence. What you call interdiction. You don't let these criminals, stay on the road ahead of you, and they're waiting for you. They have information about your movement, and then they're able to ambush you and kill five policemen. They're able to get to a checkpoint, kill 5 soldiers. You're talking about trained soldiers, bomb vehicles. Terrorists are able to invade an entire one of the most guarded military formations in Nigeria. That was some years ago. Devastate the entire place and go away with tanks government just bought. These things are embarrassing, to say the least, because you have a situation where Nigeria is not at war. We are not fighting one another. But sadly, we're even worse than being in a state of war.
Can you expatiate?
Good. There is no civil war going on in Nigeria like happened in 67 to 70. But the intensity of terrorism and various insurgency, kidnapping, banditry, whatever names we choose to call them, is at such a level that puts Nigeria in a state of war. And I feel the government ought to have realized it by now and raised its level of security awareness to that level that Nigeria is in a state of war. Not just with terrorists, also with socioeconomic factors. There's hunger everywhere, and that is actually a state of war. There's a limit to which you can tell people, hold on, be patient, be patient. Listen, if the man has a gun or even a screwdriver, he can kill you. And because hunger has a way of, taking control of people's normal, normal sense of, self-restraint. And that is the sad thing. Katsina, we know, is, has a porous border. Jibia is actually on the border between Nigeria and Niger Republic. And you know that Niger has active terrorist cells. Niger up like that, going up, to the Sahel,
that belt,
Mali, and all different groups. We even see, in Nigeria, we call Boko Haram, ISWAP, whatever I call it.
ISIS.
We know those ones. Let me tell you, the Sahel is what we call ungoverned spaces. Every man, man to himself. Bunch of criminals. Bandits. These ones they can eat a human being raw. It's nothing. So, the situation in which Niger is right now is so that, there are spillovers. You understand? There are spillovers. Sometimes when the bombardment from Nigeria is heavy, these bandits cross over, they cross the border to Niger. And Niger right now is under a military government. And, its capacity is limited because the international community, US that used to maintain a drone base, is out of the place. France that used to help here and there with security assistance is out of the place. Nigeria is even combating its own internal problems. So there is little. Yes, there are the multinational joint task force, but there is little that you can do in such an ungoverned space. Desert. How many are you going to chase? So the point is this: the federal government needs to let its security personnel know that first of all, before you secure another man, you must first secure yourself. That's when that man will have confidence that you can secure him. Now they should heighten their sense of self-awareness, sense of security, especially in those troubled areas. You find out that, look at what happened in Boza. It was a failure of intelligence, overconfidence. Yeah, they have been bombing Boko Haram, bombing ISWAP, and a lot of their people have moved to the north central, moved to the southwest. But you see, like I said, criminals never want to go out of business unless you force them out or somehow they have a change of heart. So it's to be expected that there will still be pockets of this service. And you keep wondering, what can they be up to? What can they be up to? What can they be up to? You don't just relax because you have to canoes, you have unmanned area vehicles and different kinds of, offensive weapons with which you have really bombarded them. It will take time for you to eventually wipe them out. And don't forget, let me just to conclude, the civilian population is also critical because out of fear, these people are heavy propagandists. They are heavy investors in propaganda, destructive, hateful propaganda. So when they have to control people by giving them food, giving them 2,000, 5,000, those ones out of fear or out of a sense of comradeship, strange quote unquote, will readily carry a bomb and put on themselves to go and kill those they perceive as the enemy.
Very true. Yeah, you see, it's so very unfortunate at a time when the Kenyan police are already sending their men for international peacekeeping forces in Haiti. Nigeria, Nigerian police service are neither doing nothing to taking care of our issues right here in Nigeria. But let's move on to the last daily we have, the Punch newspaper. The big story here says Dangote fuel marketers fear high-priced petrol ahead of supply. And right here says crude price will determine cost of Dangote PMS, and Dapman Ipman warns the federal government.
Still on the front page of the Punch newspaper, on the top strip, Kano plans appeal after losing 1 billion naira suits against federal government.
All right, and INEC lacks a power to conduct local government elections. That's coming from the INEC chairman, Yakubu.
Still on the top strip, federal government revokes 870 billion naira road contracts. 2,270 projects suffer delay.
All right, so let's get into this particular interesting story. INEC lacks power to conduct local government elections. That's coming from Yakubu. At a point when we're talking about local government autonomy, INEC, we had this little thing in our heads that it's possible INEC will take over local governments. And right here we're hearing authoritatively from the INEC chair that INEC lacks the power to conduct local government elections. Pastor Vansufeli.
Yes, at some point the local government laws of many states were amended to that effect. Otherwise, in 1999, when we had our entry into democracy, the term of office was 4 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, and INEC superintended over local government election then. So it was later on some step into democracy. States now, states are autonomous. If you want to look at federalism proper, just that what we have is a federalism that is infected with too much infection, too much virus, such that it's neither federalism nor centralization. So it's a sick federal structure that we have. That is why we find debilitating issues like this, where, but from the eyes of the law, the next chairman is right to that effect, except perhaps the court makes some pronouncements in the nearest future, maybe on that case, and then on, because part of the prayers of the federal government is that that authority to conduct elections should be relinquished from the states, and then let so you are going to have that argument, counter argument on that, whether it is the federal government that should superintend over state affairs, or whether the states have authority to so do. So primarily, if it were not that the governors of states don't want democracy to strive at the local government level, because whatever the court do today, if the court give them autonomy, if the court say, okay, your funds will be sent to you directly and all that, but if the court does not ensure that the way people become local government chairman, and that is through the election, if the court skips that, the state will still rubbish everything that it could, because if you're able to control who becomes the local government chairman, if the governors can still control it, it will mean that whatever autonomy and joint account and everything will just be in the books.
But aren't we talking about the umpire here? Because it's no difference. If the governor wants a candidate from a PDP, for example, that doesn't leave out other parties from conducting, from participating. So what the INEC, I think it's just being a good umpire.
That's what I'm
Don't
saying.
you think so?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I said we need to go back there where INEC should be the one to contest election for the local government. We need to go back there. The reason is because that will strengthen the autonomy of the local government. Okay, it will strengthen it, even though the governors can still, have their influence. But that will strengthen it, because if, for example, now the federal government, there's a judgment today, and the federal government now send local government funds directly to them. Okay, and then they now have autonomy. There's now a law that the governor cannot wound up local government administration arbitrarily without election and import caretaker committee, which is an aberration. If we now have all that in the judgment, and states still control the conduct of election into local government, you know what will happen? The governor will influence it. His man will become the local government chairman. And when the money comes from Abuja directly, he will take the money and send it to the governor. I'm just telling you.
True.
But the governor had guaranteed his entry and will be loyal.
Yes. Emeka, what do you think are your submissions to that?
Well, I will say
60 seconds.
I think I'm opposed to local government autonomy because you
are opposed to local government autonomy.
Yes, there was a point I supported it, but you see, what I call inherent deceit in what looks like the federal government's, attempt to bring in autonomy is what, was what made me change my mind on it. Why? You have enough responsibilities on your head. You are not carrying them out. You are interested in doing rural roads. You're interested in doing hospitals in rural areas. You're interested in schools and all of that. And what is it? The government, Nigerian politicians, be very careful when they start pushing certain things that look altruistic. They are not altruistic. They are very wicked. I'll tell you what. The federal government telling you that they want local government autonomy is just for, the sake of grabbing power. It's not because they want the lives of the people at the local level to be better. So, for me, if the states are to control the local government, then let's have a conversation. We are having a constitutional review right now, right? Let's have a conversation that, okay, fine. The money you're giving to local government, let's look at the revenue allocation. Then give it to the states. But let there be inherent provisions that will make the states duty bound to develop the local areas. Otherwise, you cannot put something on nothing. You say the states are subnationals, right? The local government, in the constitution, you say they're under the states. Then you now want the court to correct it. Knowing that you are heading towards another constitutional review, where the states will vote against. So you just want to bring in anarchy. So the best point, in the United States, for where we copy democracy, states are in charge of the counties and all of that. Yeah, because states have their own constitution. So let us agree on a means of pushing development to the local government level. It's sad that in this First Republic, governors have become more powerful than the president. It's a sad reality of our years. So a lot of times you just find that jackboot measures, intervention. We are going to give 50,000 to each household. That money is supposed to be channeled through the local government. But as we speak, the federal government does not trust the social register that states have submitted to it. So the federal government has to, on its own. Now, under Buhari, that's why the vice president was going to market, to give market women 5,000. Come on. What kind of a system is that? So, what we need is to tell ourselves the truth. can we have local government autonomy? Is it workable the way things are? No. Because the states will never agree. Even though APC is in the majority in the states, they will never agree. Because see, local government funds,
I've really followed.
it's a different conversation.
I've really followed that argument. I really followed that argument. But the reason I fought the argument is because of the bigger picture. Yes, the argument is plausible that this government, the moment they got an information that P2B was saying article, they were scared, very scared, and they decided to push forth for this local government thing to bring the local government, to make the local government subservient to the center, wholesomely, by passing the state governors who have capacity to actually turn things around the current government. Okay, that argument has been pushed forth. I've seen it. I've looked at it. It has a lot of merit. Okay, but where I do not agree with it is that the present position where we are is the position where he just espoused, that give it to state governments and let's have laws to ensure that state government pass it down. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
But the truth is that we have existing laws already
that are not being respected.
Yes, so what I'm saying. Okay, so because such laws places so much trust on the state government, because of course no man would deprive its own environment from development. That is the general thinking. But we have come to that realization that a governor can decide and ensure that his local government is not developed, as long as he's able to take the money and channel it to other use, or for his family, or to campaign, or to do all sorts of things. So having come to that, his position seems to have been exhausted, because we have tried it. So now let us go further. Since we have 3 tiers of government, the Constitution unwittingly watered it in Section 7.
Yes.
Okay? Mix it in Section 162 of the Constitution by giving a joint account and made a mess of the local government. Okay? Made them stranded, made them enslaved. They are not able to have no mind of their own and all that. The governors land cashed on that mistake, or whatever it is you call it, that constitutional lacuna, and have entrenched it and have used it over the years. Now, the federal government is saying the intent of the lawmaker was not that the state government should take over local government and make them powerless completely. That the intent of the lawmaker is to make them autonomous, to have them get their funds directly, and to have them develop their immediate environment and boost the life of the grassroots man. That is intent. Okay. True. Now, how do you now make that possible? Is it by still giving the money to the governors and then expect that they will have a change of hearts, or they are now into repentance? You can't do that. He's only a mad person. You keep doing something at the same way every day and expect it. So let the federal government send that money direct to local government. Let the people go to the local government chairman. Okay? And then make demands from the local government chairman direct. It can work. The America is cited is a very developed democracy. Okay? I know how the state of Georgia, the counties, the Gwinnett County, all of them, I know how, I went through, study how they manage their resources. And it's seamless, okay? Because the entire agenda is for development of the environment. And even the governor of that state, okay, looks through that development. His ambition, his success is tied to the development of the county areas. If you make any mistake, you will not return to power. That is how it is. Okay, let's do that here. When the local government chairman now have that authority, the people will go and make demands. By the time the people start to respond to the local government chairman, you will see that the governors will start to make attempts to ensure the local government chairman succeed. Because if the local government chairman does not succeed, he will not come back.
Very true.
And that is what it should be.
Very, very, very true. I just sincerely hope that our leaders and those in authority are listening and do the needful to ensure that development trickles down to the common man. Yeah,
That's true. Actually.
very true.
And Nigerians are actually waiting and hoping to see a change.
Very true.
Okay.
All right. When we return,
Customs seizes 844 rifles and 112,500 live ammunition at Rivers Port. We'll be right back shortly with more details. Please don't go anywhere.